Councilman Anderson.
Here.
Condon.
Here.
Crowe.
Here.
D'Angelo.
Here.
Di Maria. Kenneth.
Here.
Matheson.
Here.
O'Malley. Zika. Spatafora. Murphy.
Councilor Condon, I believe you have your light on. Have something you'd like to say?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to sponsor George Sahedi from the Post 69, the American Legion. He's the finance officer, and they're having an event June 25th at 11 a.m. And I'd like to ask George to come up and just give us a little background on this. It's very interesting.
All in favor of Mr. Sahedi? Aye. All opposed? Mr. Sahedi, welcome to the Malden City Council. If you please state your name and address.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you for inviting me here tonight and taking some of your time. I want to inform you of an event that we are having on June 25 at 11 a.m. The Post, in conjunction with the Congressional Medal of Honor Society, will be holding a ceremony at the Holy Cross Cemetery to honor Sergeant Richard P. Hanley for the actions he took to save his unit during the Battle of Little Bighorn on the same date in 1876. He received the honor on October 5, 1878. Sergeant Hanley was attached to Company C, 7th U.S. Cavalry, and we should note here that while General Custer and most of his unit were killed in the battle, others attached to Major Reno and Captain Benteen were more fortunate. To mark this event for Sergeant Hanley, the Post provided a Medal of Honor footstone, and the ceremony will take place, as I said, at 11 a.m. and include color guards, a short address, and taps. All participants then will be invited back to the Post for a cookout and after the ceremony, of course. Thank you very much.
Very welcome. Thank you. Does
Thank you.
anyone have any questions? We're good. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dear members of the council, pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 148, Section 1, I hereby appoint Henry L. Haskell at 129 Wallace Street as the fire commissioner, said term to expire March 1st, 2018. He will complete the unexpired term of Commissioner Thomas Denny, who was retired. Mr. Haskell has an extensive resume with a wide range of background in safety and security measures. Notably, he has served as the security officer for the Newport Naval Education and Training Center and was responsible for the Department of Defense Police as well as the base fire department. I believe his knowledge in emergency-related matters, coupled with his military and legal experience, makes him the perfect candidate for this position. Sincerely, Gary Christensen, Mayor.
On Councilor Matheson's motion to refer to the appointment committee, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay. The appointment has been referred to the appointments committee.
The Standing Committee on Finance, Joan was referred paper number 289, series of 2016. Having considered the same, make the following report. Committee recommends that this paper be reported out favorably with the following amendments. Number 1, delete from Mayor's Office salaries, $41,899.71. Delete from Police Administrative salaries, $39,852.50. Delete from Police IT expenses, $20,000. Add to revenue reserve, $101,752.21. Delete from police overtime, $175,000. Add to revenue reserve, $175,000. Delete from fire overtime, $175,000. Add to revenue reserve, $175,000. Reduce revenue estimates by deleting from council mitigation $278,573.77. Reduce revenue reserve by $278,573.77, provided that subject to the approval of each recipient, the first $278,573.77 received in council mitigation for FY 2017 shall be allocated to revenue reserve. That the mayor rename account number 001-421-5300, Bike to the Sea maintenance and tree planting, and that the mayor be requested to increase funding of the part-time wire inspector to full-time. Councilor Kinnon for the committee.
Councilor Kinnon's motion to receive the committee report. All those in favor? Aye. Councilor Kinnon to the committee.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, and as the clerk so adequately said, the committee passed that budget with those amendments last evening on a vote of 4-1, and I have a couple more amendments that I would like to make to the budget at this time. The first would be a motion that the mayor add a nurse to the Board of Health for a total of $7,776. That the mayor add a city clerk starting in October that would shadow our current city clerk for the total of $25,000 for those 3 months. That the mayor delete the HR position of that was put in at $51,000 and move that amount to professional services in HR. That is currently used for Metatrol and would be expected to be used again for a firm, not a hire in that department. And then finally, that the mayor move the business development director out of the PIPS department and back into his own budget under the mayor's office. Those are my 4 additional motions this evening.
I do have a light on it, Councilor D'Angelo. Before you take the floor, what I'd like to do is take each one of these in order, discuss them, and then vote on them. If you have something you'd like to say.
I just have a question. So if we vote on these tonight, can we pass the budget tonight?
I would think not, because we still have to do some negotiations with the mayor. Us voting on them does not make them actually happen. So I think we need to figure out where we are and what it is we as a council want to do, and then I would expect that we'd have a discussion with the mayor to basically finalize, the negotiations on the budget.
Okay, and then while I still have the floor, I'd be looking for a second, I would vote to reject the budget. I'd make a motion to reject the budget.
Okay, well, obviously we have a second to reject the budget, but I would certainly, second was Councilor O'Malley. I know that a motion on the floor takes precedence. Is that correct? But I would think that, I would hope that Councilor D'Angelo and Councilor O'Malley, that you would allow your colleagues to have some discussion on the budget. This is
Absolutely.
the first time that is a committee we've met together. All right. All right. We're going to take we have a motion and we have a second. We're going to take a roll call on this. Yes, you may, Councilor Spatafora.
So, can Councilor D'Angelo explain his motion for rejecting the budget? I'm just not clear.
Yes, Councilor Spatafora and Councilor D'Angelo. Why don't you enlighten the rest of the committee?
Yeah, sure. I can surmise what's going on. The reason why we're not going to vote it tonight is because it's clear that the council wants to bargain with the mayor or add to the budget. And I don't think we should be doing that. That's all. I think we had a number. We had weeks, if not months, of deliberations. And as we started this council session, I read from Mass General Law, and I believe in that it is our obligation, it's our duty as city councilors, as the body of the city council, to take away, not to add. And I just think that now at this late hour in the budget process, to be adding, that isn't something that the city council should do. So I respect that I'm in the minority here. So I respect you all for wanting to do that, and that's fine. And certainly debate all of the things you have discussed. I just have a different approach. I think we're in very harsh times. I've read the management letter. It shows that we've gone from tens of millions of dollars, or certainly 16 million, and now we're pulling out reserves. We're going below our limit of reserves. We're probably going to get a bond downgrade. To me, those are all signals saying, whoa, stop the spending. But it seems clear that now not only is the 170 million, whatever we're going to pass, that's not enough. We got to add more. Again, I just have a different approach. I respect everybody here and what you're going to try to advocate for our constituents. I just think that we're in really tough, dire straits financially, and we shouldn't be adding. That's not the role of this body. So I don't want to continue to go on about the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor D'Angelo. Councilor Anderson.
Thank you, Madam President. Councilors, I would hope we would take just the reverse of what my esteemed colleague to my left has just said. I think what we have here is a deliberative body that the committee has worked on going through the budget and has recommendations, and the process of this is the legislative body and the executive body of the city of Alden goes back and forth until they arrive at a mutual agreed upon situation, and that's what this process is. So I don't see that we should reject the budget because there's likely to be some other bantering going on or back and forth going on. I believe that that's all part of this legislative process that we're in. So I hope that this motion to reject the budget will be defeated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Councilor Stepp.
Thank you, Madam President. And this is just for my edification. So, and I don't know if I direct it to the President or the Chairman of Finance. So last night we met, Finance Committee meeting. There was a number that we balanced the budget based on that number. It is now coming to the full floor, it's coming out of Finance to the full council. Not looking, we back up. So it's coming out balanced, right? And the request that were put in today, the 25, the 7, the professional, all those amendments or changes to a financial, does that change the budget from being balanced? So this is just a request to the mayor. but we are still balancing the budget, and these two items are not part of that budget, and it's a request or a resolve to the mayor to consider? Correct? Just so I'm following along.
It's a request to resolve, but it would be done prior to the budget being passed.
But we're not, what I'm saying, and maybe we could, we're not saying take 25,000 from this account and move to this account.
Not at the moment.
Okay, that's what I'm just trying to get my head
That
exactly.
is something that we do need to sit down, just like we did last year with the mayor, and have a final discussion. We have not had any interaction
Yep.
with the mayor. We had a very successful budget negotiation last year at this point in time, coming to the mayor with some of the issues that we felt were very important to the running of the city. And we came away with a budget I think that we're all very happy with. We went from rejecting the budget 11 to nothing to voting for the budget 11 to nothing. And I'm hoping that the same will prevail this year also, but we do need the time to negotiate and bring the mayor into some of our thought processes.
No, and I completely agree, Madam President. I just, for me, usually, it seems, we do that every year. There is the ceremonial, the mayor comes down, we sit with the mayor, we have his request, our request, and we come to a resolution that has to be balanced based on our current charter. What I'm saying now is we are still going to that method. We delivered a balanced budget to the finance committee has delivered, that balanced budget, and these two financial modifications have not been identified and will be done at a later date with the mayor, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you, Madam President.
So on the motion to reject the, yes, Councilor O'Malley.
Hello. So for the reason why I seconded this, and the reason why I have been speaking out against this budget, is because I do think that it's important to put this into the context of where we are right now and where we were a year ago, or even 2 years ago. We had $16 million in reserves. Once this budget is passed and we spend this money, we will be going down to $6 million. That is 62% of our reserves. If you spend 62% of your personal savings, that would have a vast and massive impact on your borrowing power, on your credit rating. The same thing is happening to the city, and let's be clear. If we continue spending like this, I mean, where does it end? It ends off a cliff. And in an effort to maybe tear the Band-Aid off now, or to at least try to start stepping back from the cliff, we need to be fiscally conservative and spend the money in an important way, which will not only improve our schools, but also improve our city. So I do think it's very important that we take a hard look at this budget, and that's why I'm supporting rejecting the budget today.
Thank you. Councilor Pumpkin, you didn't, the light's not that going, so, okay. The clerk will call the roll.
Council,
Read the motion again.
the motion is to reject the budget. Councilor Anderson. Condon. Crowe. D'Angelo. DeMaria. Cannon. Matheson. O'Malley. Seeger. Spatafora. Murphy.
No. Defeated 9 to 2. So the next motion.
Is to request that the mayor restore $7,776 to the Board of Health for funding a nurse through September.
This, we can't force this. This is
for the discussion. Yeah, this is a result. Sorry.
May I speak, would you like to speak to the issue of the importance of this, or would you like me to? As we all know, we had a discussion about contagious diseases a couple of weeks ago. This nurse is very key in monitoring issues within the city. She is funded by a grant. The grant has expired. They expect the grant, another grant to come into play at the end of September. The $7,776 would keep her on the books part-time to continue to work with her client base, which I think, as we talk about keeping our city safe, whether it's police or fire, we also have health issues that we need to be aware of. And I think that this is money well spent, and that keeping her on until we find out what this grant is one of the better things that we as a council can advocate for. Obviously, if the grant is not received, the position will be cut. Councilor Kinnon.
Just to, on this one in particular, it's almost a net zero to the city, because if we let the nurse go, we're going to pay unemployment. And we are likely to have to pick up some health insurance for a little while as well. So there is very little cost actually as a net on this, just to be clear. Now, if the grant, which is supposed to come in September, does not come in, then we will have to let this person go. So,
I have a number of lights on, starting from my left. I believe it's Councilor Crowe or Councilor Spatafor. Councilor Crowe.
Thank you, Madam President. We all, expect eloquently about the need for the city clerk and the need for the nurse. As we had said in a couple of other meetings when a department had come in, especially the schools, it's like, no, don't just say you need money for this and this, but certainly you're going to get that money. So I do think we have to have that conversation. We can ask for the resolve, but say, this is where, is it that we, again, want to go back into revenue reserve, probably the best for, is there another line that we think that we might be able to reduce that's going to make up that? I think having those conversations to understand where we think we're going to be able to put this money in, so the bottom line is really the same.
Thank you, Councilor Crowe. Councilor Anderson or Councilor D'Angelo? I'm not sure. Councilor D'Angelo.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. And I guess, I won't go on about everything. So I'll just, about every motion, about every particular resolve and thing. I'll just say it one time. Not to belabor the point, because I don't want to just filibuster or be dilatory. I don't want to do that. But the point I want to make is, all of these things that have been discussed, and by the way, were discussed in committee all throughout this process, they're all important things. I'm not going to argue that. I love nurses, they're great, and we need, let's hire more of them, absolutely. To me, though, that's beside the point, because once you start going down that road, now you're back into the whole process that we made tough choices on. And all we're doing, just so everybody out there is aware, because we know what the next fiscal year is going to bring. We see that already. We see what's happening on the federal level, there's no money there. We see what's happening on the state level, there's no money there. We're not getting the casino money for a couple of years. We're not getting retiring debt, that's still a few years away. So next year, all we're doing is deferring. And whatever this amount turns out to be that we're adding or that we're asking the mayor to consider to add or whatever, because he might not even do that, by the way. But whatever that number is next year, we're only going to have to take that much more off. And to me, that's bodies. And again, we shouldn't be doing that. So next year when we're here, I just want to make sure that everybody's clear. That this is why I was preaching 5 years ago, and then 4 years ago, and then 3 years ago, and then 2 years ago. Nobody wanted to listen to me. And I wasn't Chicken Little. I wasn't saying the sky was falling. I was saying, along with some other members who have since changed their tune, I was saying, watch out. This is coming. This fiscal tsunami is coming. And now what are we doing? Now we're considering $50 to park in front of your house. I'm sure the bags will be going up soon. We're considering rain taxes, all these other things that we're considering. The revenues clearly aren't going to be able to keep up enough. So at some point, we're going to need to make, we've already made tough choices. At some point, we're going to need to make even tougher choices, layoffs. And not just for one department, across all departments. So forgive me, and I hope people in the audience and at home and whoever else is listening understand that I'm not trying to be, it's easy to spend money. It's very easy to spend money. Let's add more, spend more. What's tough is trying to hold the line. Because we are getting to the point where we're out of money. So next year, okay, we're going to be able to do, we'll be able to use reserves. And then there's layoffs. So I just Just want to say that ahead of time. These are all good things. I just want to be clear with everybody. These are all good things. I support nurses and all these other things that we're going to discuss. It's not, to me, it's not about that. It's about the process. And as I said previously, my previous comments, about, I just have a conviction that it's not this council's obligation to be adding. It's this council's obligation to be taking away from the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor D'Angelo. It's Councilor DiMaria.
Thank you, Madam President. So, I think this is a great idea, but my question is, a nurse in the Board of Health, so could I just ask, what would a nurse do, and do we have a nurse in the Board of Health right now?
Yes.
You know,
yes.
through the chair?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Councilor DiMaria, we do have a nurse in the chair. There was a meeting, I'm not sure if you were there or not, but Mr. Webb talked about the caseload that these nurses have. We do have some contagious diseases in the city. People have to be monitored on a regular basis to protect the citizens in the city. And that is one of the functions of this particular nurse. So as I said earlier, this nurse to me is as important as a policeman or a fireman for the protection and the safety of the citizens of Malden.
And she's
She's on a grant.
She's funded with a grant.
The grant has run out. The next grant is expected to start September 1st. She has a caseload of patients that she sees. Plus there is, I'm not sure if you know, but in the city, they also have a clinic where they give immunizations to make school children ready. It's right there in City Hall. They give booster shots, they give flu shots, they give immunizations, they do some child health checkups. So there's quite a bit of activity that goes on in that Board of Health clinic. And this particular, the loss of this particular nurse at this point, and it's actually only part-time at this point, with $7,776. But it hopefully would be funded by a grant come September 1st, and that would allow the continuation of the patient care and the patient caseload, which ultimately protects the citizens of all.
Right, so it's not specific for the school department, it's for
No.
all residents?
No.
Okay.
President, I'm going to second Councilor Kenneth's motion and ask for a vote.
Thank you, Councilor Matheson. Clerk, call the roll.
Counselor,
Yes, please read the motion.
the motion is to add $7,776 to the Board of Health budget for a nurse until September, from July to September. Counselor Anderson,
Yes.
Condon, Crowe, D'Angelo,
No.
DiMaria,
Yes.
Kenneth,
Yes.
Matheson,
Yes.
O'Malley,
Yes.
Seega,
Yes.
Spatafora,
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes. 10-1, it passes.
Next motion is to request that the mayor add $25,000 to the city clerk's budget for the purpose of transitional training beginning October 1st.
Second motion. $25,000.
Would you read the motion?
To add $25,000, to request that the mayor add $25,000 to the city clerk's budget for transitional training beginning October 1st.
Second.
So we have a motion by Councilor Kinnon, seconded by Councilor Matheson. Any discussion on it? Okay. Folks, I have a light on. Do we have lights down there?
I have
Yes, Councilor Kinnon.
I just wanted to make it clear for the people, we're not on TV. Oh, I think we might be on tape, so it might end up on the internet. But to make it clear for anybody who's here or out on the internet, two things that I didn't get to say on the healthcare. First, that it was almost net zero when you really look at it. But secondly, we have, according to Director Webb, according to the state, the highest rate per capita of tuberculosis in the Commonwealth. Now, that is a direct impact of illegal immigration. We know this in Massachusetts, we know it here in Malden. There's nothing this council or the mayor or anybody here can do about that. That is at a higher level. It's almost like an unfunded mandate upon cities like Malden. You know, you can have those viewpoints, that's fine, but somebody's got to end up funding it, and unfortunately, it's our city budget. Because if we don't take care of that, and that disease spreads, this cost, just one more person getting tuberculosis, this cost pales into comparison to the cost of that to the community. So the second thing is on this piece that we're going to vote on. We have a city clerk who's been here for many, many years, probably like 10. And she's retired very early. She must be wealthy. And the reality is she's got this wealth of experience, and we can't let her walk out on December 31st without having trained somebody who's going to come in. The fact that it wasn't put in the budget, I view was in error, an oversight. So we are giving the mayor an option, rather than some kind of battle on this thing, an option of, you know, in the next week we'll come to an agreement. It may very well be another cut from another line item, but we're not saying where that could be. But this was clearly, this is not just an act. There is nobody here who didn't think that this should have been in the budget before. Even those who were voting against the budget didn't think that this item shouldn't have been in the budget before it came down. So you can only chalk it up to an oversight, at least today. We'll report back later if that wasn't the case. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kinnon. Councilor Condon and Councilor DiMaria? No? Okay, then Councilor D'Angelo.
Thank you. Just a point. This is actually the second budget that we've gotten. So I think it was 3-4 weeks ago, we had sent one back to the mayor. So all these things we're discussing could have been included then. They're not. If they were priorities, could have been addressed then. So just a point. Thank you.
I'm just going to actually, by name from the chair, I'm not going to disagree totally with you, Councilor D'Angelo, but there was a reason the budget was sent back. It was because the budget came down so early. The mayor was able to complete the budget and send it down to us, and we only have a certain number of days to agree or refute, accept or reject the budget. Councilor Kinnon, I believe, met with the mayor, and it was a mutual decision to send it back to him to give everyone more time so that we as a council could continue to meet with all of the department heads to get a better understanding of what the needs of the city were. So yes, had things traveled a different timeline, that might have happened, but the timeline we were on caused that budget to go back and then be resubmitted to us so we could continue our due diligence and our good work in making sure that we understood all of the moving pieces of this budget. So thank you. Roll call on motion. Please read the motion again.
The motion is to request that the mayor add $25,000 to the city clerk's budget for transitional training beginning October 1st. Councilor Anderson.
Yes.
Condon. Crowe.
Yes.
D'Angelo. DiMaria. Kinnon.
Yes.
Matheson.
Yes.
O'Malley. Sika. Spatafora. Murphy.
Yes. 10-1, that passes.
The next motion is to request that the mayor delete $51,000 from the HR salaries for creation of a new position and to move the $51,000 to HR professional services.
Councilor Kinnon, I would appreciate it if you would give an explanation of that move prior to any discussion taking place, so everyone is aware of where the money originated from, the fact that it's not an increase, et cetera.
Yes, we have $51,000 essentially spent in the 2016 year we're in budget, which was spent on Metatrol. Metatrol is the firm which helps us negotiate with all the unions in the city and does work with the city. Whether or not we can continue with Metatrol, that's all for future discussion. But the mayor put this over in the HR side because the mayor, by charter, is required to be the person who negotiates with all of the unions. So from a structural standpoint, that does indeed make a lot of sense, that these people would report to a department which the mayor is in charge of. He is not in charge of the legal department. And he should be in charge of, at least from my standpoint, structurally, in any company, the people that are negotiating with the unions are in charge of the lawyers who are negotiating with the unions with them. But he put it in as a position in HR. And so some of us disagree that it should be a position, but that we should continue on, not necessarily with Metatrol, but with a company rather than an attorney. And an attorney should clearly not be an attorney themselves. If we were going to hire a new attorney, should go over the legal department. But for this purpose, you could hire a firm that helps HR with lots of HR issues, not just union issues, but lots of HR issues, and for union negotiations. There are a number of firms that do this. The unions themselves hire firms that specialize in union negotiations. We need to do the same thing. So moving it out of a position into professional services, make sure that we do that and not hire a person which at 51,000, we're not going to get much expertise with that kind of money as opposed to going outside. So that's all this does. Transfers it to professional service.
Any discussion on this from anyone? Councilor Anderson?
Yeah, this is related to the motion, but it is separate and distinct as well. I don't disagree with Councilor Kinnon's motion, but this money was in the law department. It was used for Metatrol and union negotiation services. For that money to go to HR and continue to be used for that purpose is perfectly acceptable. But having heard from the director of the law department, our city solicitor, she's lacked a staff attorney for quite a number of years. This money is being moved out of her budget, but separately, I would like to heed her request to fully fund the law department. The city this size, she really should have a fully funded department. So I would also make a motion to resolve that the mayor add $41,685 to the law department to fully staff that department.
Put on this motion. So any other discussion on the motion to move 51,000 out of the salary line item to professional services and HR? Hearing no other discussion, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Anderson. Condon. Crowe.
Yes.
D'Angelo. DeMaria.
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
Matheson. O'Malley. Seeger.
Yes.
Spatafora.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes. That passes 10-1.
Councilor Kinnon's final motion is to request that the mayor move the business development director from PIPS back to the mayor's office.
Councilor Kinnon?
Yes, the mayor currently has the business development officer in his budget. doesn't make sense, at least to me. And I think, Councilor President Murphy, who she and I have talked, that this would go down to the PIPS department. It's not related. So I think it should go back to where it was, so it is transparent what's going on.
Councilor Matheson?
Yeah, I'm just curious if there's been any explanation from the mayor's department about this personnel transfer? And I ask that question because I'm sure the mayor put a lot of time into creating the budget, and perhaps he has some justification.
Do I still, can I answer?
Yes.
Well, we got a job description today. It's the exact same job description that it was before. So it's hard to understand that it should be there. That's what I was, it's the exact same job description.
If I may, from the chair, we did, if I can find it, we did receive a email from Maria Louise that did have, I can get to it, that did have a reason in it, but while I'm trying to get into my email account. No, I'd rather read it. If I can get through all the C-Click-Fix here, which I seem to get everyone C-Click-Fix these days. You'll bear with me. Well, while I'm waiting to find this, they say you can't multitask, but I'm going to try to do that. Okay, just from my point of view, I believe that there needs to be kind of a check and balance in business development. Number one, should not be in the same department as the building inspector and the planning department. I think that having them separated is good for business. But number two, and probably more importantly, I think we've all seen Mr. Webb take over a tremendous amount of responsibility in most of our tenures here. He's taken, in addition to the Board of Health, he's taken on all permits, inspection, and planning. I firmly believe that he is spread too thin. He needs to focus on what he has. We do not need to add responsibility to him at this point. He has a lot of important issues that he needs to run with, such as implementing Energov, as well as, redoing some of the processes and procedures within his department. The building department itself is heavily used today with all of the development that's going on, and not only the development of the buildings that we see, but there's a tremendous amount of remodeling that's going on in the city, plus trying to keep our housing stock from falling into disrepair. So this move, to me, does not make any sense, does not make sense. I think that, Mr. Duffy is better served where he has for the last 5 years under the direction of the mayor in the mayor's office on the 6th floor. So that's does anyone else have anything they'd like to add? I'm just trying to see. Basically, from what I remember from reading the letter, the mayor's office saw some synergy, and they thought that it was a good move. That basically is kind of the gist of what was said. So, having said that, the clerk will call, seeing no lights, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Anderson. Condon. Crone. D'Angelo. DeMaria. Kenneth.
Yes.
Matheson. O'Malley. Sika. Spatafora. Murphy.
Yes. Passes 7-4. No, it's basically what we're doing is we're coming up with discussion points that we are going to sit down and have a discussion with the mayor to talk about.
Councilor Matheson has made a motion to ask that $41,685 be added to legal department to fund an additional assistant city solicitor.
Seconded by Councilor O'Donnell.
Is there any other?
I'll just add, thank you, Council President. I'll just add very briefly, this would return it to the full staffing that the law department previously had, which, we did lose one law position through one of the budget cycles about 3 years ago. This would bring the department back up to full staffing, and a city of 60,000 with the litigation we're involved in. I think it's a good idea to fully staff this department again.
Thank you, Councilor Matheson. Councilor Kinnon? Oh, did you shut down?
Thank you, President. I'm not going to support this evening. I believe this position is needed like many of the positions in the budget. The previous two that I have mentioned are essentially part-time, one-time cost for a very short period of time. I don't think we'll be able to keep. I believe much of what Councilor O'Malley, Councilor D'Angelo have stated is true about the budget. So we will ultimately have to make cuts in the other two positions that we are, the 7,776, we'll either get a funding for in September or have to not hire that person. And the 25,000 goes away as soon as current clerk goes away. So adding additional salaries without cutting somewhere, I can't support right now. And I do, as I said, agree with Councilor D'Angelo's assessment and Councilor O'Malley's assessment. I think the only difference is a philosophical one in terms of how we're going to get to where we're going. I think this budget is a good budget. It's a solid effort in slowing the growth. The school department, when they were in last week, I clearly stated as the chair, I think they should go away and they should do their own pro forma going out 5 years. Don't wait, get started now, because the likelihood for us to get back to where we need to get is that their increases are only going to be 2% per year, just like this year, 1.9%. So if we do that, we'll have a softer landing, rather than we could take ourselves, down to $4 million this year would be draconian. I do believe that we should evaluate every single position where a person retires and probably not hire anybody the whole year and see how that goes. But that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kinnon. Councilor Crowe or Councilor Spatafora? Not sure who.
Do you want to, I can yield to you, Councilor. Go ahead.
Councilor Crowe.
I agree with Councilor Kinnon that, just as Councilor D'Angelo O'Malley had mentioned, we shouldn't be adding to the budget, just cutting it. In what I said, we need to look at how we're going to fund these two, but we know these are, as I said, one-time, short-term, sort of stopgap measures to get it to moving forward. And I do think, although that the law department might be short-staffed, so is the city clerk, so is a lot of the other departments, and we can't be adding people to other departments. So for those reasons, I cannot support adding another staff person anywhere.
Thank you, Councilor Crowe. Councilor Spatafora.
Yeah, I'm not to be repetitive. Again, I think every department came in during this budget process, and they all had wants and desires. And most of it, especially in this building, has always been a balancing act. It seems that this building is always short-staffed, and there's always some piece of equipment we need to purchase or some type of additional resources. But unfortunately, I agree with Councilor D'Angelo and Councilor O'Malley. I mean, this is where we have to put a line in the sand and say, we cannot keep on structurally adding to a deficit that is broken. I see these two, the $25,000 and the nurse, which to me is the importance of the disease is paramount, but also financially it's net neutral given the person off, unfortunately. The $25,000 for the clerk, you make an error in the clerk's department, it can cost the city dearly in terms of posting something and knowing the rules and regulations, so I think that, again, is transition. This particular, while I think it is definitely probably needed and warranted, it's not a necessity. And besides the salary, which I think most people in the audience and hopefully computer, as Council Kidd would say, it's more than the salary. It is the benefits that go along with the salary that are probably worth half the salary. And at this point, given the unknown in our budget, but also the unknown escalation costs in our health insurance, we need to be coming off that insurance rather than going on to that. So at this time, I cannot support this particular position. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Spatafora. Seeing no other lights, the clerk will call the roll on the motion.
Counselor Anderson.
No.
Condon. Crowe. D'Angelo. Di Maria. Kinnon. Matheson.
Yes.
O'Malley. Sika. Spatafora. Murphy.
No. It's defeated 9-2. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Matheson. Councilor Matheson's motion to table the budget pending discussion with the mayor. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilor Anderson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We have a no from Councilor Anderson and Councilor D'Angelo and Councilor O'Malley. Okay. The tabling motion is a 9-2. Budget is tabled pending further discussion with the mayor.
Under suspension of docket rules, the claim of Ellen O'Leary, 115 Kearney Street.
Yes, as all of you know, suspending docket rules is not something that I like to do, but we do have a number of last-minute items that we're going to need to address over the next couple of weeks before we go on recess, so this might happen a little more frequently than normal. On motion to suspend docket rules, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Docket rules are suspended. On Councilor Kinnon's motion to refer the claim to finance, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay. That claim is referred to the Finance Committee.
Under suspension of docket rules, Mayor's appointment of Timothy Ryan, 191 Bainbridge Street, as a constable for a term expiring June 14, 2018.
On motion to suspend docket rules, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The docket rules are suspended. On Councilor Matheson's motion to place on file, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The matter is placed on file.
The docket is clear.
The docket is clear. Personal privilege, anyone? Yes, Councilor Matheson.
Thank you, Council President. And it is all too frequent that I ask for a moment of silence in honor of victims of terrorism. But I find myself once again asking that you recognize a moment of silence for all those victims of that Miami terrorist attack. I haven't seen the latest numbers, but last I heard 50 Americans dead, 53 injured, and a very, very sad day for this country and all peace-loving people around the world. So.
Yes, on Councilor Matheson's motion for a moment of silence, please stand.
Thank you, and I would just like to make a quick mention that Appointments Committee will be meeting in the back room following this council meeting, and I know there's a couple of candidates waiting for that, and I wanted all you councilors to be reminded that if you want to join that meeting, it'll be immediately following this.
Thank you. A motion to adjourn. Oh, we already did that, right? No, motion to adjourn. On Council Matheson's motion to adjourn, seconded by Councilor O'Malley. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay. This session of City Council is adjourned.